What's going on, everyone? Josh or Miho here. Hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to show it to you right now. This is the new album from the band Drawn and Quartered entitled Feeding Hell's Furnace. This is released on Nuclear Winter Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they're based out of Seattle, Washington. And the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a straight up, no nonsense, old school style of death metal. And for the better part of almost 20 years, this has been one of those death metal bands that really has kept that whole underground scene and mentality going. Um, just the way they deliver their music, the way they perform it, and the ways they go about to make themselves sound awesome. It's just great. Um, I mean, when I think of Drawn and Quartered, the one album that really sticks out to me from this band is their debut, To Kill Is Human. That album really showcased what Drawn and Quartered are, what they set out to do, just how blisteringly venomous their music sounds, just the way the guitars are, the way the bass is toned, the speed of the drums, the really harsh, angry kind of vocals. I mean, it kind of takes you back to stuff like Monstrosity or Morbid Angel or even Deicide to a certain extent. That's what Drawn and Quartered are doing, and they rock at it. They rule at it, and they have been pretty much keeping the underground death metal scene alive and thriving. But yeah, we move on to their new album. It's their sixth album. It's a follow-up to an album they did back in 2007 called Merciless Hammer of Lucifer. It's 9 tracks and it runs around 36 minutes in length. And with this album, it basically is a return to form for them. They bring back a lot of the old school grit and grime that was found on their first 2 records, To Kill Is Human and Extermination Revelry. Just that really old school, gritty, heavy, destructive mentality. And that's what makes Feeding Hell's Furnace just an absolute monster of a record. From first track all the way to last, it glides along smoothly, and this is really a sick record. Guitar-wise, the guitar sound is what makes is one of the things that makes Drawn and Quartered just something to enjoy. Just the way the riffs are delivered, there's just so much heaviness and destruction with the riffs. Just the way it sounds, just that almost that feeling you get when you listen to songs like the opening tracks Stab Wound Invocation and Lust Mortar. Just the way the guitar sounds on those songs just sound amazing, and the solos are just absolutely emotional, raw, and powerful. I mean, the guitar really is one of the main things that gives this album a life of its own, a soul of its own, considering a lot of the lyrical content really is pretty much evil and soulless. The guitar itself is what makes it arise up from there. Bass-wise, I really enjoy the tone of the bass. It's not overpowering. It's really nicely done in the mix. It blends in smoothly with the guitar. Nice smooth tone, audible and clear. You can hear it quite well. Drum-wise, the drums vary from pretty much mid-paced to almost pretty fast-paced. Solid blast beats and double bass throughout. It's what you would expect to hear on a old school style of death metal record. The way the drums are delivered, they sound fantastic here. And the vocals just have this ominous, evil roar to them. I love the way the vocals are here. Just guttural, booming. You can understand everything the vocalist is saying, and the way he delivers it with such fervor and such tenacity. It's just a great vocal performance throughout, and the lyrics have this almost apocalyptic, evil, dark mood to them. I love the way that they're delivered. I mean, it's especially showcased on the final 2 tracks on this record, Cryptic Consecrations and No Absolution, excuse me. The last 2 tracks, which are about 5 minutes apiece. Just really great storytelling going on in those songs, and just the overall atmosphere and vibe of this record just makes everything worth coming back to. So overall, This album proves why Drawn and Quartered are one of the best bands in underground death metal and death metal as a whole. Just the way they deliver their music, the way they sound, the way they deliver it, the way it's produced. It it sounds like a death metal record. It sounds like a death metal record that you probably, like, if let's say you go back 15 years ago, you probably wouldn't have known that this album was made in 2012. This has that real legitimate old school vibe and feeling to it. And if you're a fan of old school death metal or the current wave of death metal bands that are just really making awesome music, Drawn and Quartered are one of those bands, and this is a band you should definitely support. This is definitely one of the best death metal releases of this year. If I had to pick any favorite tracks, I would have to say Stab Wound Invocation, A World in Ashes, Mutilated Offerings, and of course Lust Mortar. I really enjoyed that track. So I'm going to show you the album again. This is Feeding Hell's Furnace by Drawn and Quartered. This is released on Nuclear Winter Records. Go pick this up. And as far as the score is concerned, I'm going to give it a 9.25 out of 10. This is absolutely fantastic death metal and very much in the old school spirit of things. Support Drawn and Quartered. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks all for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. And until the next time, Army Hell out.